Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So obviously censorship is a big topic on this channel. It is something that I've covered in hundreds of videos, including many examples of Japanese products being censored as they're introduced into Western markets, whether that's censorship of fan service, edgy jokes, cultural references, and many other things. It's something that we cover routinely on this channel, and one thing that all of these examples have been met with on Western Twitter, for example, is people celebrating these acts of censorship because they're censoring products that these people do not enjoy. Now, people like myself and many others have warned these individuals that censorship doesn't stop at the things you don't like. It continues until it starts touching and censoring things that you do like. And that is exactly what is happening in today's video. So recently there's been a lot of uproar, mainly centered around this Polygon tweet and related article covering censorship of queer representation in Gundam. Now, this is a situation where a lot of the quote retweets and replies are mocking this situation because it's like, wait, so you don't like censorship anymore? And it's also, people pointing out the obvious quotes that we've been hearing for years. It's not censorship, it's a localization. Go watch porn, do something else, okay? All of the comments are like that, making fun of this situation. And you know what? I don't actively celebrate censorship, but a lot of people do not feel sorry for individuals like Polygon and a lot of the people upset about this act of censorship because these are the same people who have been actively promoting and celebrating censorship of other Japanese products, and now they're angry because it's touching something they care about. So for this situation in particular, I'll just give kind of a little background on these characters. So there are two characters who originally have a relationship more out of convenience and other goals, and it doesn't start off romantic, but then it's heavily implied that there is a romantic turn between these two female characters in the epilogue of the series. And this was something that was further confirmed by a print release of an interview between the two voice actors of the characters, where they talk about the characters being married. And of course, in the Western release of this, which was not edited by the creators, rather it was edited by Bandai, they removed any references in that interview that used the term marriage. Now, their justification for this was that it's up to the viewer to decide for themselves whether or not these characters are in a romantic relationship. And of course, Polygon and others have considered this an act of censorship. Now, let me get something out of the way here. When it comes to these characters in the relationship, whether you think it's slightly implied, heavily implied, or very clear-cut one way or the other, personally, I do not care. I do not care what their relationship status between these two characters is. It doesn't matter to me. I don't care. That's not really the purpose of today's video. The purpose is talking about Polygon and others who are claiming this is an act of censorship. The reason they're claiming it's censorship is because they do believe that these characters are in a relationship. It's not just heavily implied. They believe these characters are in a relationship, and they believe removing the term marriage in those interviews is an act of censorship. That is their stance, and that's why they believe that queer representation is being censored in this Western release of Gundam. Now, of course, like I pointed out earlier, a lot of people are just laughing at this situation. Like, yes, censorship is bad, but you're the ones who are normally championing for more censorship of Japanese products, and now you're pretending to care about censorship. Well, you never really did. And one thing you can do to definitely tell whether or not someone is full of BS on this topic of censorship is just simply ask them, what is your opinion on the censorship of Skullgirls? That is a recent thing we've covered on this channel in multiple videos, and most of the people upset about this censorship of Gundam were openly celebrating and praising the devs of Skullgirls for censoring fan service of that game. In fact, you don't have to look much further than Polygon themselves. Only a month ago, they released this article openly praising the censorship of Skullgirls, a 10-plus-year-old game that randomly decided to censor their content, mainly focusing on fan service. In fact, they went as far as removing digital art books that people paid for. Obviously, quite an insult for a mature-rated game that is heavily known and focuses on fan service, now turning around a decade later to remove fan service, as well as the supposed Nazi-inspired imagery, because God forbid the villains in a video game would be bad guys. Like, none of it made any sense. But here's Polygon openly praising censorship of Skullgirls, but then crying about censorship of Gundam, which, yeah, it's hypocritical, and it's just kind of what you deserve at this point. You've been asking for this. This is the censorship you've been praising, and now you just don't like the way it's being applied. And of course, people in the quote retweets who are upset about this act of censorship and are supporting Polygon are claiming that anyone making fun of the situation is, of course, a Nazi. And this image right here will forever hold true. It's just the typical go-to on Twitter. If you don't like someone, well, they're a Nazi. And that's just a tale as old as time, and it continues to this point, because apparently if you hate censorship, you're a Nazi. If you make fun of people who are hypocritical about censorship, you're also a Nazi. You pretty much can't win. But here's the situation, okay? Like I said, the irony and hypocrisy here is quite obvious, and Polygon doesn't deserve any respect. Now, I will address one more thing here. I want to get this very, very clear to everyone. I know someone on Twitter will take a screenshot of this video and be like, Rev's homophobic. He's afraid of this couple. And like, first of all, I could care less if these characters are gay or not. I would never step in the way of some good old-fashioned Yuri, okay? Like, it's fine. They can do whatever they want. But here's the thing. A lot of people will think, like, oh, I'm comparing censorship of fan service to gay rights. And that is an incredibly disingenuous comparison, okay? I know people will try to make that comparison. We're talking about fictional content. We're talking about the censorship of a fictional relationship and censorship of fictional fan service. Those things are just plot devices within the same narrative, okay? They're just things to include in the story. You can like one more than the other. That's your personal choice. But you shouldn't be cool with either being censored, because you're removing a part of a story. Whether you think fan service is goofy or unnecessary, it's irrelevant. It's a part of the story. It's a part of the art, and it's being censored. Just like how these people are interpreting this relationship to be censored. They're very similar things, okay? This doesn't have anything to do with real-life things like gay rights. It's completely irrelevant. We're talking about fictional content being censored, and it's just taking different forms. However, Twitter has made it very clear that they don't care about one form of it being censored, but they care about another form being censored, and that is why they're hypocrites. But nonetheless, that is going to do it for this video. I know it's quite a jam-packed topic, and please feel free to share all of your thoughts about this situation, the Skullgirls censorship, and just censorship generally, because it's always a relevant topic, in the comments section down below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and yeah, I will see you guys next time.